Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of day it is. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Dr. Don. Now, for your first-time viewers, Conversations with Dr. Don is an ongoing series of 1-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like most of you out there about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals and about whatever it is that we have decided to talk about. My guests this evening are father and son, David and Wyatt Poland. Can you tell which one is the father and which one is the son? I can. And I know David from the gym, from the health club we go to for a long, long time, and a few other situations where I met him in the regular world, and I found we have some other common interests that we have similar views on. And we haven't had any serious fights yet when we talk about politics and social issues, but I'm looking forward to it tonight. And I know about Wyatt from your dad talking about you from time to time, reporting on your activities and whatever. And I look forward to seeing you. And you have such an easy smile.
Thank you.
Did you get that from him or from your mom?
I think a combination of both.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to have you on. So we're going to have a good time talking about who you are in the first half of the show, and where you come from, and education, and hobbies, that kind of stuff. And then we'll go into questions and discussion about some of the things that we may talk about if we have time tonight. And we have so many things here to talk about, we're going to need 3 hours instead of 1 hour.
There you go.
So how are you feeling right now?
I feel good,
David?
man. I feel chill.
Sure.
I'm really glad that you invited me. Thank you.
You've been looking forward to it. Been trying to get you on for a long time. Yeah. And how are you feeling right now?
I feel great. I feel like I'm in a job interview, which I've been doing a lot of lately. So yeah, should come natural.
Yeah, well, you guys are so easy to be with. My nervousness is going away because I'm usually very nervous. I've been doing this for 13 years. I still get nervous before the show starts.
Gives you that energy, though. You get going.
So let's start off by seeing who you are. My viewers know me for many years of hearing the same story about who I am, but I'll say a few words about who I am for starters to sort of model what's going on. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, 1928, and I had a lot of years in going to different schools. I'm the youngest of 12 children, and I'm the last one of the 12 that's left, and looking to be around for another 100 years or so. And
I believe it.
I'm a screaming leftist liberal, and I have a lot of fun in my life, in my retirement, doing theater and acting and modeling. And I'm a humanist minister, so I do perform the duties of traditional clergy. Occasionally I'll marry somebody, do a memorial service. And my number one activity in my life is to learn how to be kinder, to be nicer as a human being. And it's an ongoing process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with you. David, can we start with you?
Sure.
If I were to ask you, your best friend, who is David Poland? What would your best friend say? David Poland is what?
Hardworking. Always in transition. I just transitioned 4 years ago out of corporate America, which I was so stressed out, and I was just so stressed out I couldn't do it anymore. So I transitioned into acting and writing, and I just wrote a screenplay. Wow. I'm transitioning into a new role because if I want to get that made, I'm going to have to direct it and get it made myself. And so I'm busy working on that lately. My other past jobs, ones that were really ones I remembered and had fun with, when I was first out of high school, I was a railroad laborer pounding spikes. And it was a very hard job, but you know, I look back at that sometimes and remember those moments. Been married for 28 years to a wonderful wife, Carol.
28 years.
She is my best friend.
So let's stick to the question. I'll ask you some more.
Okay.
Your best friend would say, David Poland is a hard worker, and what else? What would you say about you?
Constantly in transition. A Christian man who tries to help others. Volunteers.
All right. Next question. When and where were you born?
Waukegan, Illinois,
Illinois.
1954. It's a town just north of Chicago.
Uh-huh. And why were you born?
Why?
My
Wow.
guests always repeat that question. Why?
That's a good question.
Of course.
There's been a few moments in my life where I think I was close to death. As a matter of fact, I know I was.
Uh-huh.
And I think lately my faith has been waning and my hope has been waning. But I do believe that getting this film made is one of my major goals in life. And having Wyatt and my daughter, Wyatt, having a wonderful son like Wyatt is probably and my daughter Danielle is probably the two things I was really put here to do.
That's why you were born.
I think I was born, for Wyatt, to bring him into the world, really, because he's so special to me, I guess, and my daughter,
Yeah, all right. Is there anything significant about your cultural or national heritage that's worth repeating, or are you playing American white bread?
I'm playing American white bread, but I will say that I was raised in a family of my father, my grandmother was a librarian, and she was way ahead of her time when it came to equal rights and feminist rights and all that. So I was raised in a household where I had to cook and clean when I was 4 and 5 and take care of everything. And I tried to pass those things on to my children as well. But as far as, and I went through the 60s with the Martin Luther King and the 70s and the turbulent 60s.
Those were times.
My father was he was just so much for equal rights, and the burden that Martin Luther King and those people were going through at the time, that left a big impression on me growing up in the Chicago area.
Okay. And do you have a religious preference today?
I'm a Christian, non-denominational. I go to a church called Solid Rock. Great minister.
Is this your only religious preference through the years, or have you changed?
It's been my only one. I actually I was raised Christian, you could say that, but we didn't go to church. I started to go to church, actually it was shortly after Wyatt was born, we started going to church. It was at that time I felt that, I wanted to raise my children in that environment.
You mentioned a daughter.
I do. She's down in California.
How old is she?
She's 24.
Does she like you?
She does now. There was a period of time.
There's a story behind that,
There
I'm
were some
sure.
times where she didn't, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Is she married?
No, she's engaged.
Yeah. Is she going to see this show?
I'll probably tell her it's on YouTube and she'll watch it, yeah.
All right. I'll give you a DVD that you can also have for yourself.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and you too. How about your formal education?
I had an associate's degree in information systems management. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. And I went on further and got a master's in what's called Oracle Database Administration, which is specific to a product called Oracle, but it was pretty intensive training. And they do call it a master's, and I'd have to say, if all the work that was put forth, it is a master's. And lately, I am self-studied as a screenwriter. The last year, I probably spent 12 to 14 hours a day either reading screenplays, reading about how to write them, or writing them. And I also studied a lot about acting. As you know, we've seen each other by theaters.
At auditions, yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been studying acting now?
5 years.
Do you know the last thing I did on stage was Driving Miss Daisy?
Is that right?
Yeah, at Heart.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I played Hoke.
Okay.
And I like to tell people that I didn't see the movie until after I had played the role. And
That's pretty
Morgan
good.
Freeman was almost as good as I was in the role on stage. No. Yeah. So we should chat some more about our acting experience and career.
You know, Morgan Freeman didn't get his first starring role or first good role until he was 55.
Is that a fact?
That's
I
a fact.
Know that. 55, for God's sakes.
His first, he was in bit parts in films, but his really first good role when he was 55.
What was that role?
It was he played a pimp, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was in the late 70s or early 80s.
Yeah, let's continue on here.
I can't think of the name of it. He was great in it. He was scary. I've never seen him be as scary as that. Actually, go on.
Yeah. And your political persuasion, how do you see yourself on the political continuum? Left, right, center, or what?
You know, I'm
generally speaking.
I'm getting more towards the center.
From the right or the left?
I think I'd have to say that I'm socially understanding and becoming more physically conservative, you know. But the way I look at the country now, it's just, I have to say I'm a little on the confused side about that.
Okay.
Because, and I don't think it's me that's confused. I'm confused about who I'm supposed to vote for. Because I don't believe that they tell me one thing, but you get them in the office and something else takes place.
It takes a really superhuman effort to find other sources of information other than the corporate or the mainstream media.
Oh, and I think that a lot of mainstream media is run by corporate interests,
of course,
what I would call unelected government.
Yeah, unelected government. All right. Okay, that's a buzz. We're going to get back to that after a bit. Do you have any memberships in political, social, or civic organizations that are worth mentioning?
No.
Okay. Any persons from the past or alive today that you particularly admired or look up to? Any names come to mind?
The older I get, the more I miss and admire my father.
Okay.
I mean, I was just talking to my brother today. I might get a little... Yeah, we were talking today about my dad. And the great guy he was, you know. And you don't realize how great he is and what a great dad you got until he's gone, and then you just want like 5 more minutes with him. That's it, you know.
Yeah. Your heart's on your sleeve. I can
Can't
see
help it.
There's some more similarities we have. I'm so sensitive as I see you now because your eyes are wet now as you thought about your father.
Yeah.
So why is it that you admire him so much?
He encouraged me to, at a very early age, to do what I wanted with my life, and others didn't. And I wish I would have taken his... you know what? The thing is, I like where my life went. Because I met Carol, my wife, and I had 2 wonderful kids. And if it hadn't taken that route, that wouldn't have happened. But he encouraged me to be an actor when I was 25 or 20. He said, if that's what you want to do, that's what you do. And he was always there for me, no matter how much trouble I got in. And there was a number of times where I did some pretty stupid stuff. And he wasn't angry or disappointed, you know. He just talked to me like, you know, okay, let's learn from this, you know. And he could have really been, you know, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a few moments where he got mad at me, but...
Of course, of course. Yeah. Anybody else come to mind besides your dad?
My wife right now is so supportive of me. Oh my gosh, she's such a great lady. The older I get, the more in love with her I become. Isn't that funny?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So how do you finance your existence, and do you earn a wage, or you...
Well, right now I'm kind of financially I'm hurting a little bit because I did work and I got let go, and I was 54 and trying to find another job when you're 54. Besides, I just couldn't do that work anymore. I ended up having a heart attack and bypass surgery from that.
How long ago was that?
April 20. Well, I had the heart attack March 11, 2012, and then bypass surgery April 24th.
Just last year?
Just last year, yeah.
Oh my
but I had
God.
contributed that to all the stress of everything from that job. Since then, I've been writing, and I believe that I'm going to be blessed to it eventually. But right now, financially, we're kind of strapped, yeah. Especially with, you know, some student loan stuff we got to pay back and other bills that came in. It's odd that, you know, you're 58 and you end up having all this debt all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's stressful, but, you know, you deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. You got a marvelous attitude about life.
Well,
and what's going
some
on.
days better than others I deal with it.
Can we shift over here to Wyatt?
You bet, man. I can't wait.
There you go.
And where were you born?
Hamilton, Ohio.
Hamilton, Ohio. And what year was that?
1990.
1990. All right. And you just finished college.
That's correct, yeah.
And your major is with physical health or something?
Yep, health and human performance. I got a minor in coaching. It's another name for it that's more commonly used is exercise science.
Exercise. Why did you choose that?
Because I've always been involved in athletics, and
Look at him there. Oh, man, that's terrific.
the gym feels like home to me, and I love watching shows like The Biggest Loser, and I'm passionate about helping people make the right decisions as far as their health and fitness goes. And the last 2 baseball seasons, spring seasons, I've coached for Lincoln Youth Baseball as the head coach for their senior American team, working with the athletes and great age where you can teach them more than just athletics. You can teach them life skills as well, and I just love it.
It shows.
Yeah.
He bloomed doing it.
Yeah. So, do you follow in your dad's footsteps as far as religious preference is concerned? Do you have a religious preference?
I do have I'm Christian, non-denominational. I don't believe in denominations.
Yeah.
And as far as you asked him if he's ever associated himself with any other religious,
Yeah.
Christianity is the only religion I've ever associated myself with. However, in high school and while I was growing up, I did research and explore through other religions just to see what they had to offer and what they were about, because I didn't know what I would be missing out upon if I never explored those and researched into those. But Christianity is the only one that I've ever associated myself with or truly believed in.
And are you thinking about marriage?
I am married.
He just got married a week ago.
I just got married.
Oh man, congratulations!
Thank you.
Literally a week and a half ago.
A week and a half ago.
Yes.
And what's your wife's name?
Her name is Maggie.
Maggie.
Yes.
Are you glad you married her? You can tell her on that camera.
I'm very, best decision I've ever made.
This one right here.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Best
yours.
decision I've ever made.
Best decision ever made.
She's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any children? No. Not yet. And you're talking about you're in the market now for a job.
Yes.
Any prospects? You're just starting looking, huh?
Yes. I just recently moved to Vancouver from Beaverton, so Portland area. Just moved to Vancouver, so my commute now is too far, and I need to look into something else. But I currently am employed and have a pretty good job, but I just want something closer so that I can, and with better hours, more 7 to 3 or 9 to 5. So.
What are you doing now?
I'm working with people with developmental disabilities as a caretaker.
All right. My heart's always out to those who work and help other human beings, That's why I became a shrink. So what else can I ask you? You talked about your partner. Are you have a political persuasion? Are you still evolving on a political continuum, left, right, or center, or what?
I think that I am too young to say that I am stuck on one thing for now. However, I do have fairly strong political views, and right now I would have to say that I am to the left, not extremely to the left, but I am to the left definitely, and then I am also more libertarian opposed to authoritarian.
He's got some of your smarts. Yeah,
Some
independent thinker. Yeah. Other than your dad, does anybody else come to mind from the past or alive today that you admire or look up to?
Well, my best friend, his name is Alex LaFollette. Him and I have been friends for 9 years now.
9 years.
Just, attached at the hip for 9 years, and he's inspired me in so many different ways, and we've grown together over the years. And Yeah.
That kind of a friendship is rare.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He is.
He's a great young man.
Uh-huh. What is it about him that you admire so much?
His heart for people.
Yeah, big.
Yes, he just has passion for people, and he always looks to do what's right. And even when he makes mistakes, he takes a step back and just his attitude is, I need to just try to do the next right thing. And it's hard to do, but he does a great job of doing that.
Yeah,
It's
he does.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad he's not here.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future will hold? Maybe we'll get him on another show or something.
All right.
So,
I'm going to give a little bump for Al. He's a history major,
Yes.
and whenever I need a question about past political leaders, good or bad ones, I ask him, and he almost always has the answer and tells you what they were like, what they were about, what was their philosophies, why he agrees or disagrees. He's a smart guy when it comes to history. He really loves it, and you need to get him on out. That's all I'll say.
all right. Let's go back again to you with your playwriting and acting stuff. Can you say a few more words about that? Have you gotten anything stage-wise from these auditions I've seen you at?
I just got done doing a piece called Circle the Drain, and it was shot live out there at the other community media center, and it's on
The
TV.
other Metro East or what?
Yeah, Metro East. That was quite a thrill because it was a stage play that was actually done in the studio there. Outside of that, I haven't gotten a lot of acting work lately, and I'm looking forward to doing more of it. I love it. I feel alive when I do it.
Yes.
Don't you?
You doing any modeling? Oh, yes. You doing getting any
I've got a
modeling
little
stuff?
pudgy, I think.
Not nude modeling.
They don't want to see
You
me in
would.
my underwear, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the writing. I can't think of the guy who taught stage writing. I've got his computer program. Cost a bunch of money, $400 or so. But I've got maybe 8 or 10 scripts in work, and I've put a few 10 or 15-minute things on stage. And I said I'm going to get back to it because I've got 2 or 3 of them that are far along enough where I could go to work on them and stick with it. But I've had so many darn interests, especially with my leftist leanings, until Now you remind me I want to spend some time on going back to writing. We're going to talk some more.
You should submit them to the Fertile Ground Festival, which is Portland's festival where it's new. All the screenplays or all the stage plays that are done are all the different theaters. I think it's during January and February in Portland. Last year there was like 60 of them, are by local writers.
We'll talk some more beyond this.
We will.
Okay, yeah.
You need to do that.
Ah, gosh, dog it. All right, can we take a break a little earlier here, then we'll go into other subjects to talk about, Mr. E? So the mic's going to be up. Okay, we're back. Thanks for staying tuned. Now, for you viewers who missed the opening of the show, you're watching Conversations with Dr. Don, an ongoing series of one-hour standalone talk shows where I interview interesting people like my 2 guests here, father and son. about who they are as unique, one-of-a-kind individuals. We've gotten through the first half of the show, and we now know exactly who they are. And now we're going to talk about some things that we might find of common interest to you because they're topical and they're critically important to talk about, and have some dialogue to see if we can improve our opinions or views about what we'll be talking about. So I'll tick off the ones we have mentioned here. David selected unelected government, and there's a lot to that. And Middle East and Syria, student loans, and Wyatt is familiar with that recently, and Zimmerman trial and the American justice system, wealth distribution, and a third political party. And I suggested it wouldn't really be a third political party, it would be an alternative to the two wings of the corporate party now that governs our. But anyhow, I want your opinions. So where shall we start? Of all those I mentioned, which shall we start talking about?
Let's go with unelected government.
So that was your suggestion. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so I just heard this term, and what it's talking about is the fact that our elected officials are put in office by unelected officials, and it's done through money being infused into the political parties, and they called it unelected government because the people who are actually supposed to be voting for in Congress and Senate for these things are voting based upon what someone else is telling them to do.
Yes.
And it's greed-driven. Here's the thing: if you have $1 billion presidential election, $1 billion, somebody doesn't spend $1 billion unless they want something in return. What that also says to me is that if there's $1 billion to spend on that, if we have campaign reform, there's $1 billion that can go to schools.
Mm-hmm. Unelected government. What do you got to say about that, Wyatt?
Well, first thing I think of when I hear unelected government is I think of when I took a political science course in college. We watched a documentary called Inside Job.
Oh.
Have you seen that?
Have you
yes.
seen that? Yes. And so that is what I think
That's unelected government.
Unelected government.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Yes. And I think that it's way worse right now in the United States than people think it is. And we'll talk more about this with wealth distribution, but that is the cause of the huge gap in wealth distribution and the lack of equality.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do we have really a democracy when you get right down to it, if the government is unelected in reality?
It doesn't feel like it anymore.
It's an approximation of democracy. Yeah.
You're right. It doesn't feel like it to me anymore. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I remember some very. I mean, I remember in first grade when Kennedy got shot, and I remember hearing Eisenhower, and he's the one who said, "You're going to become an industrial complex," and that's what we did become.
A military-industrial complex.
Military-industrial complex. Thank you. So I look back upon these people who, and it just seems like Congress in the Senate, they just sit there and fight and fight and fight, and nothing gets done. And well, who's paying for them to do that? I don't think that they're all that far to the left or right.
It's theater is what it is.
Well, you're right. And they're bad actors.
And we could go into that, but we would need a lot of time for that too. Yeah, so what do we need to do about this unelected government? Any ideas?
Yes. Well, I believe it was Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He, a great man during the French Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
He said that we can't forget that we employ the government. The government is employed by the people, and therefore they work for the people, and not the other way around. We don't work for the government; they work for us. And
theoretically.
Theoretically, yes, correct.
But the reality is, for what we're talking about now, our present government is really unelected if our voices, individual citizens, are not heard, and the moneyed interests who buy these candidates are really speaking for the interests first of the ruling elite, the super rich, and anything that comes down to ordinary citizens just accidental, tertiary along the way in priorities, yeah. And my viewers have heard me say this time and again, so I'm interested in your.
Oh no, I was
view.
just interested in what you were saying. It's good.
Yeah, so I think we need to take.
I think
take the
campaign
government back.
reform. People keep talking about what's the biggest issue in this country.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's jobs. It's this. It's that. It's campaign reform.
Absolutely.
Because if we can reform campaigns where people aren't dumping cash in, they're dumping it into PACs and all these. There's money going somewhere. Lots of it too. And guess what? I'm not going to say I don't choose a side. I don't say Republican, Democrat, because a lot of people go, oh, the Democrats are getting all the money, and the Republicans, they're both getting the money. And we got to get the money out of their hands. Or else we have to get, what we're going to talk about later, is a third party, and a third party that's not being pumped full of cash. And I think if you find a third party that was a little bit more moderate, a lot of people would vote for them. You're going to have a lot of people far right and far left that won't, but I think a majority would because they want to see change. They want to see the positive in this country again. And I think we've gone through many years where I feel repressed, if you want to know the truth. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Do you have any comment about what your dad just said?
Yeah. As far as, campaigning goes, I think it's getting to the point of being a little ridiculous as far as the funding and the budgets for them go. But I guess I just wish that we had some way of holding our representatives accountable for what they claim their intentions will be, what they are campaigning for. For example, President Obama saying he's going to raise, taxes on incomes $250,000 and more, and yet there's been no action done towards that, and it doesn't seem like it's anywhere close to being on the agenda. And we have a lot of things to, a lot of issues, but that was a pretty big thing that he campaigned on, and I'd like to see it done, but I just wish there was some way of holding them accountable, or maybe changing the structure, so the structure of our political system, so we don't get into a gridlock where things actually get accomplished.
So, do you think the popular vote would be a way to go?
Boy, that's controversial, and
That's a whole show.
Well, yeah, a popular vote, but then people vote based on the information they have and what they are taught.
It's still going to be bad.
And if the corporate media has provided the information that people are making their opinions, using that information to make judgments, then they're not really speaking for or voting for their own personal interest, because the media has conditioned them to think that this way to vote and this way to look at something is going to be in your best interest, So back to the idea of campaign reform. We've got to get the money out of the political process. We've got to do something about the lobbyists in Washington, such that our voices can be heard. And it's a radical idea, the popular vote, but I love it. What do you think of it?
I like it.
So shall we move on?
Sure.
Yeah. Middle East and Syria. That's a toughie.
Oof.
Oof. What does that mean?
It's a touchy subject for some.
Yeah. Go ahead.
On where I stand.
Yeah. What should we do? What should America do?
The reason that was my reaction is because there's really no way to win in that situation. It's hard to know what the right thing to do is, because if we don't take action, then there's this evil happening where people are, being killed off, and there's nothing good ever comes from that. And if we do take action, and what comes from that? Will there be a bigger, will there be consequences to that? Will it turn into another war that, we're involved in? Will it be something bigger than what we expect? And so it's hard to know what to do, and I personally, I don't stand for violence, and I don't think that that's the way to handle any situation, and which is why I love peaceful protesters, and yes, because that works. Whereas
Civil disobedience.
yes, that works. So that's really hard to know what the right thing to do is in this situation.
David.
I don't know what they should do in Syria. I'm glad we aren't dropping bombs. I really respect Obama because he knew he was going to get lambasted no matter what he did, and he chose to go to Congress and say, "Okay, let's all decide on this. Let's think about it." There's a lot of brouhaha today because Putin is doing some opinion. They call them op-eds in the New York Times. He's getting a little bit of the thunder, and everybody's saying, "Oh, Obama gave the power away to him." I don't think he did. I think everybody sees through that. Worldwide, But what I like is that instead of just bombing, he sought a peaceful resolution first, and they're going to, because of Russia, dismantle the chemical, and is that going to stop the slaughter? I don't think so. But would bombing stop the slaughter? I don't think so. All the bombing could do is it could bring Iran into it more. Here's another thing that's kind of perplexing about that, is that a lot of these freedom fighters are actually Al-Qaeda.
Yes.
And so it's like we're going to bomb, I can't think of his name, slipped my name.
Assad.
Yeah. To help Al-Qaeda. You don't win. There's a no-win situation for the president, because you're either helping Al-Qaeda or you're watching him massacre all these people. It's an ugly situation, and I have no idea what the answer to that is. I'm glad he didn't drop bombs. That's all I can say.
All right. The ultimate game on the world scene is let's you and him fight. If you two guys are collaborating and you're putting your head together and figuring out a way to stop my owning your country and dominating you, and then if I can have you two fight among yourselves, then you can't offer a unified resistance to my imperialism.
You're right about that.
Yeah. So I think America has perfected it to a science.
I agree.
North and South Korea, North and South Vietnam, and they've now arranged it such that in Iraq there's sects that are fighting each other. There's a civil war going on quietly. It's divide and conquer. So if any, especially since the Arab Spring, the same thing happened in Latin America many years ago. If those people are getting to a point where, particularly with the internet, where they're recognizing who's really at fault for them not being able to feed their babies and keep a roof over their head, then they're going to resist and they're going to hate, be unhappy with what America is doing to them and has done to them, their dads and their parents and grandparents. So then they get together and they decide to resist American domination, and America says, well, we got to do something about that. So we'll arrange to have you guys fight among yourselves, and then you present yourself a threat to me. The CIA is so powerful. They're behind this. And I'm on my soapbox now. They're involved in all of these countries in the Middle East right now since the Arab Spring, and somehow they're inserting themselves in the process, even in Egypt, so that the outcome of their revolutions will be sympathetic to American point of view and American imperialism. So what's going on now in Syria is the CIA is involved there too. So it doesn't matter right now, as long as we can keep those two sides fighting, and never mind Al-Qaeda. So looking at it another way is, which side am I going to choose if I'm America and I want to help on the outcome of this thing? So the idea there's nothing that can be done. There is something that can be done. America can get its nose out of there, its fingers out of those people's affairs, and pick some other country around the world and say, here's an example of how we're going to behave, and let you people decide your own fate. And the rest of the world will see that and say, finally, America is letting us be our own and take care of our own selves. So let America stay out of that mess.
So,
And
go on, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
I'm running out of words. I got myself all time.
Okay, so here you go. That said, it made me think of something.
What?
The Shah of Iran was put in as a puppet by the CIA.
Of course.
I mean, it was proven that they did that.
Most of them.
And they did it because of the oil and other things. Is it unelected government that's influencing government, that's influencing the CIA, that's saying, we want that oil, or we need financial interest? Because there are people I've talked to about some of the things that are going on. Like you said, that we create coups.
Yes.
The CIA creates them. There are people who will go, well, yeah, we have to do that. I agree with it. I don't.
Oh.
But there are people in this country who are fanatically for that. As a matter of fact, they look at you as not patriotic if you aren't behind them on it. And I don't like that point of view. When I'm not patriotic because I don't stand with you. I've actually been called a Nazi at church because of my political views.
You know what the original 9/11 was? The original 9/11? The original 9/11, 9/11 is a big thing now because they attacked America.
Mm-hmm.
But the original 9/11 was the coup against Allende in Chile, September 11th in 1973, where Pinochet was inserted, but the CIA behind him. And
Pinochet was not a very nice guy.
more than 2,000 people were killed by that revolution in Chile in the early 70s.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. So what we need to do is get out of what's going on. Oh, one more surprise. Putin has got some excellent ideas and some good thinking going on. Now, how are we going to change the Americans' point of view of Russia if Putin is making sense?
You know, it's so ingrained into a lot of people's brains. I don't think it is so much the people just graduating, but a lot of people in our age group are really, because of the past difficulties, the Cold War with Russia, the communists. I've heard people say that, you know, healthcare, the socialized, we're going to be communism, and they freak out about it. It's like, there's no way it's going to ever happen. Why are you getting so upset? So anyway, I don't think it's the young people that are going to be the ones that are being difficult to see that he has great ideas. I think it's the people that are in their 40s and 50s and 60s that will be the ones who stand in the way.
Let's move on.
There you go.
Student loans.
Ooh.
Yep.
I had one student loan for $1,000 many, many moons ago.
My college was paid for 1 year after I was out of college.
And you owe some money?
Yes.
And what do you think about the present student loan system, and you having to dedicate your life for so many years to pay back the money you had to spend to get an education?
It's become another corporate entity. Sorry.
I think it's ridiculous that it costs so much for an education, and I think that we definitely need to help out, if not fully provide people with their college education, well, at least with a bachelor's. If they want grad school, then that could, you know, be on their own. And the other thing is student loans. The interest rate has gone up so much since either of you were in college and took out student loans. Now it's 7.8%, I believe. Is that correct?
Parent student loans are 7.9%,
yeah,
as opposed to a mortgage that's 3.5%.
So they never get enough. The super rich never get enough. And there are other industrialized countries around the world who have free education, even in postgraduate work.
Mm-hmm.
And no reason why they can't. Just like you
guess
can
where
have health care.
Guess where those students are going when they graduate? They're coming here to work because our corporations say that our students aren't well enough trained. So we have to get these HB1 visas and hire all these students from other countries because they're smarter than we are. They're not smarter. they have more opportunity. They have a better opportunity.
Will you say how much you owe in student loans now? You don't have to.
I'm going to choose not to.
Okay, sure. Okay. So we need to do something with the system such that people are not strapped to pay for their education for many years after. Do we agree on that?
10 years plus.
Yeah. All right. Zimmerman. You mentioned Zimmerman.
Yes, yes, I did. Well, I think this reflects on a bigger issue than just one trial. I think it reflects on the motives of the people of the United States as well as our justice system altogether. The first thing that I want to point out is that we throw more people in prison in this country than in any other country. We lead the world in throwing people in jail, and when he was let off, people were outraged, and and there were protests and things saying that they need to kill him or put him in jail, and I don't understand why we are so, when there is injustice, why we feel like there needs to be someone needs to pay for it, someone needs to be punished for it. I don't get where that comes from. The other thing about the justice system that I want to point out is that we throw the majority of people that are in our prison system are in there for victimless or nonviolent crimes.
Yes.
And it amazes me. I don't understand, why do we even put people in prison for nonviolent, victimless crimes? They didn't do anything directed towards people. We don't need to, the only reason you should put somebody in prison is to protect them from other people because they're violent and it's not safe to have them out in society.
It's a new industry, prison industrial complex. Yeah.
It is an industry.
Yeah.
So do you think Zimmerman should have gotten off?
I do think that he should have gotten off. I do think, as far as going to prison goes, but I do think that there should be some sort of rehabilitation when it comes to Zimmerman. The reason I don't think that he should go to prison is because I didn't watch very much of the trial, but from what I know, they proved or showed a lot of evidence that Trayvon was on top of him, attacking him when he shot and killed him. So according to our justice system, that's self-defense, and I think I personally think there's something wrong with that as well. Anytime you kill somebody, there needs to be some sort of, it's wrong. You shouldn't ever just kill somebody and then get away with it. But in that situation, I don't think that prison is the answer. I think that there should be some sort of other rehabilitation, counseling, and
You think Zimmerman should have gotten off?
I don't know. I watched the trials. I listened to people talk. I especially liked that high school girl that was his friend. She was under a lot of pressure. I thought she handled everything very well. She talked about Trayvon as being this kind young guy, and Trayvon actually thought that the guy was following him was kind of a stalker, a molester type person. And if Trayvon, in my opinion, was walking through there and was trying to get away from him, let him go. Why did you stop him? Why did you harass him? Which would have been Zimmerman who did that. So I think he was provoked. It doesn't mean that he didn't fight. It doesn't mean that he didn't get on top of him. But was he provoked? If Zimmerman would have just said, okay, just let this kid, he's leaving, get out of here, kid. If he would have let him go, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. There's a 17-year-old kid who's dead.
Yeah.
Period. Now, everybody keeps talking, oh, no gun control, don't take my gun control. The rhetoric needs to be changed to gun safety. Gun safety.
Mm-hmm.
They keep talking about weapons of mass destruction. What's a weapon of mass destruction? Is it 20 kids killed in Connecticut? Is that a weapon of mass destruction? It is to me. A weapon of mass destruction is one where a 17-year-old kid is killed. that's a weapon of mass destruction. One person killed by a gun is too much, in my opinion.
So the NRA doesn't like your view of it.
They do not. I don't care.
Okay. Time's running out, but let's see if we
You know, I had a vision.
please.
The same people who are pushing for let me have my gun, let us all have our guns, let us all have our guns, are the same ones with the money. And someday there's 300 million guns in this country who are going to say, we want that money back. Those NRA rich guys better think about that.
A revolution?
Yes, think about that. You gave them the guns and you let them keep them. As soon as they realize that those guns are going to come and take their money, gun control on that docket. You watch. Right?
Before the time runs out, what about healthcare? Healthcare in America compared to healthcare in other Western countries in the world. Do you think healthcare is okay as it is now in America?
It's not okay. I will say this much. I'm not saying the Obama plan is perfect, but it's a step. Yeah. He made a step in the right direction. Being able to supply health care to your kids till you're 26, not being denied service because of pre-existing conditions, they are all great things. Is it a perfect plan? I don't believe so. But I think we're moving there. Just getting rid of it is not going to work. You need to reform and fix what you don't like or what's not working.
What do you think, Wyatt?
I think it's disgusting that we have to ensure our health and well-being. Isn't that a thought, that we have to pay money to ensure our own health?
Wow, I never heard it put quite that way before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to let Wyatt finish. Okay, so I am under the belief that the Constitution grants us health care because it says you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and you can't have life if you don't have health. So why don't we have health care?
Whoa. All right.
It's in the Constitution. Read it. And here's another thing. We don't do health management. Why it costs so much in this country and why it's cheaper in other countries is we do disease management. We wait for you to get sick, then we take care of you. In other countries, people go to the doctor 12 times a year because they take care of them before they're sick. They do health management.
And there's competition. There's health care and the healthcare industry, healthcare business. So the business model is the primary consideration in the whole healthcare debate here. But time is running out now, so let's see if you have some final thought, final words for the viewers based on what we talked about tonight or anything else. What would be a final thought you want to leave them with? Should we start with you?
Yeah.
All right.
Campaign reform. That's the main thing. You got to get the money out of their pockets. Doesn't matter if it's left, right, conservative, liberal. The money's got to be taken out of all their pockets because that's what's destroying this country is the greed.
We have no quarrel there. Wyatt, what do you have to say to the viewers?
I have to say, especially when it comes to politics and just everyday life, ask yourself, is this for the good of humanity, or is it good for the majority, or is it good for the few? What is our motive behind the way we're voting, or what's the motive behind our reasoning for whatever?
I like that.
Yep.
All right, so it looks like it's close to time for us to stop visiting and get ready to say good night. Keep your pens and pencils handy because you may want to jot down something that we will show you in the closing credits. I invite you to give us feedback. Oh, public service announcements, there they are. To get my show, local broadcast schedule, go to my website, www.donbaham.com, and click on present day activities. Next PSA, to watch my shows on the web, go to my website again and click on favorite links. There's about 200 shows. Oh, the American Civil Liberties Union, without the ACLU, I don't know where our civil liberties would be. They're in jeopardy right now, even with the Obama administration. Go to the ACLU website and learn some more about the American Civil Liberties Union. I'm so grateful. I've been a member now for about 35 years. Next we have To get my shows broadcast by other stations, ask your local public access station that you're watching this in other parts of the country right now to go to pegmedia.org and follow the instructions to get your local studio in whatever city you're in broadcast locally rather than having to go on the internet to see my shows. Do we have another one? And corporate personhood. What do you think of that? Move to amend. We got to amend the Constitution to take our country back. All right. Rest in peace, poor people's president, Hugo Chavez. He was a hero of mine. And he's gone now. And thanks for watching. And remember, KFC, not that KFC, not Kentucky Fried Chicken, Dr. Don's KFC. Kind, friendly, and charitable. Be kind, be friendly, and be charitable to you too. And you too. And you too. And even in the control room, you too. Thanks again for watching, and good